Hi, I'm Cautex, and in this video I'm going to be going over my thoughts on the easiest way to complete the Agatha encounter in the Mage Tower as a Fairy Warrior. All of what I'm about to suggest is based off of my personal PTR testing, so Blizzard could make changes that invalidate some of my suggestions before this goes live. Additionally, I wasn't playing the game when the Mage Tower was originally available. There could be some tips that players who did the original Mage Tower might know about that I don't mention. For this encounter, I took the standard AoE build of Fresh Meat, Double Time, Massacre, Warpaint, Cruelty, Bladestorm, and Anger Management. For gear, I didn't do anything particularly noteworthy, though WOWHEAD has a great write-up that I've linked in the description on how to leverage the timewalking scaling system to min-max your gear. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about actually doing the encounter. This encounter is all about being able to play around timings. Pretty much every ability that the boss does is based off of a timer and does not appear to be based off of the boss's health percentage. On pull, the boss is going to spawn a bunch of smoldering imps. You should just Bladestorm these down with your other cooldowns rolling. Smoldering imps will spawn every minute, meaning that you can and should be using Bladestorm for every single set of smoldering imps. 15 seconds into the fight, 2 imp servants are going to spawn in the back of the room and start running towards the boss. If they get there, they're going to start channeling a stacking damage buff into the boss. You should heroic leap out to these imps, slow them with Piercing Howl, and then kill them. If it's going to take you longer than the duration of Piercing Howl to kill them, then also hit them with a hamstring before Piercing Howl fades. After the initial 2, these servants are going to be spawning every 45 seconds. Every 50 seconds, Agatha will shield themselves and start channeling a damage over time effect that gets stronger the longer it goes on. You need to DPS through the shield and then interrupt the cast. Next, 20 seconds into the fight, and then every 35 seconds after that, a Fuming Imp will spawn. These single imps should be killed quickly because if they cast Plague Zone, they're going to drop a big green puddle on the ground that slows you and does damage if you stand in it. These puddles do not go away and can be really annoying to deal with, so that's why you would want to kill these imps. You cannot interrupt this cast, however, you can stop it with Intimidating Shout. But given the cooldown on Shout, you cannot do this for every single imp, so that's only for emergency situations. These are the main abilities that you're going to have to be dealing with for the entire fight, though there's also going to be little void zones that you're constantly having to move out of. I'm sure that Bigwigs or DBM will probably make a timer package for this encounter, so that will make your life easier, but in reality, you don't need to know any of the timings that I just mentioned. In my opinion, the easiest thing that you can do to defeat this encounter is to develop an idea of what cooldowns you want to use for each of these mechanics, and also developing sort of a priority list of which mechanics are more important to deal with, because there's going to be a lot of overlaps on this fight. Now, I basically have already mentioned this, but to be explicitly clear, I always use Bladestorm for the Smoldering Imps, and I always use Heroic Leap and Piercing Howl for the Servants, and I will only ever use Pummel on the boss after I've broken the shield. And now here's how I personally prioritize dealing with these mechanics. Priority number 1 was always killing the Servants. Over the course of the fight, letting them help stack the damage buff onto the boss can really make it painful at the end. Priority 2 was killing the Smoldering Imps with Bladestorm. Then after that, I would prioritize breaking the shield and interrupting. And finally, my lowest priority was dealing with the Fuming Imps. Fuming Imps only tend to start casting Plague Zone when they're right next to you, so if one's up and you're moving to kill some of these other ads, they aren't that big of a deal. However, if they do start casting Plague Zone, then I would immediately swap to it and try to kill it before the cast goes off. Because of the number of ads you'll be killing, you're going to have a constant source of victory rushes. So as long as you're dealing with the mechanics in a timely fashion, maintaining your health pool is not that difficult. Though that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be using things like Spell Reflect and Ignore Pain. Personally, I think that the best time to Spell Reflect is on the Smoldering Imps right as they come out, because that would allow you to reflect all of their first cast. Once the boss reaches 50%, they're going to teleport up the hill and start the next phase, which adds an extra void zone that actually drops a little puddle when it hits the ground. And more importantly, it adds giant boulders that you're going to have to dodge. These boulders do a bunch of damage and stun you if they touch you, or if you're near them when they land. Pushing the boss to 50% and making this transition does not delay or change the timings of Agatha's abilities. So, some push timings are definitely a bit easier than others, though I never experienced a push timing that felt abnormally difficult. The most annoying part of this phase is the fact that these Smoldering Imps like to spawn where these boulders land. But your decision making on which mechanics should take priority is still going to be the same, as well as what abilities you're going to use for each mechanic. Leap out to slow and kill the servants, which will spawn on the ramp now instead of the very back of the room. Bladestorm to kill the Smoldering Imps, break the shields and then interrupt the channel, and also kill Fuming Imps. Just do this while dodging the boulders. Once you get Agatha to 33%, she's going to teleport to the opposite end of the room. No new mechanics get added here, just be mindful of the fact that now the boulders are coming from behind you. With that said, once you've reached this phase, roughly every minute she's just going to teleport to the opposite end. Just chase her to wherever she ends up and kill her. Relative to the Arms Mage Tower encounter, which is Xylem, I personally found this encounter to be much easier. The damage checks were much lower than Xylem, and the damage mechanics tended to be much more forgiving because unless they outright killed you, the near constant source of victory rushes would allow you to recover. Now, one extra thing that I would suggest doing on this fight is to run an on-use trinket. Personally, I use an overwhelming power crystal, and the main purpose for me swapping to that was so that I could have an extra DPS cooldown for bad overlaps. This is definitely not necessary, but it felt like it made things easier. I hope that this will help you beat this encounter so that you can get yourself some nice transmogs once 9.1.5 goes live and the Legion timewalking event comes around. If you know of any tricks that I didn't mention for this encounter, let me know in the comments. Or you could always just tell me why my opinions are dumb. If you need a guide for the Arms Mage Tower encounter, I've got a link to it in the description. Lastly, I just want to say thank you for watching this video, and subscribe for more.